I am doing a detailed studio painting of the shore east of Tobacco Bay. I started by drawing the shapes of the rocks and the horizon in thin neutral colored paint. Then I blocked in large areas of color like the shallow water and deep water and the sky. I then start painting parts of the rock in shadow and the lighter colors of the rock as well. I continue working until I've covered all the weight of the canvas. So as I'm working, I'll be putting more detail in the rocks, be putting in all the little crevices, everything that's in shadow. Sort of, there's a cliff that's high, so a lot of that area where the cliff is in shadow, and other areas that are facing up toward the light will be lighter. So I have to keep doing that, and when it's all covered, that's the first day's work. This is the interesting part of the painting because I've covered all the weight. Now I have to decide what I'm going to do. There are a lot of thin areas that have to be painted over, and then I have to decide how much detail I'm going to put in here and how much I'm going to leave out up there. So I have a lot of decisions to make. I have quite a lot to do all over this painting, and it's going to be interesting to see what I do. I'm going to do a lot of scraping down, soften up some edges, mixing a lot of colors. This is the second day of work, and I'm just adding in more detail, and this is one of the more interesting parts of the painting because I'm just getting in more detail, and often at the end of this sort of period the painting will look quite finished, but I intend to do a lot of detail with all the textures of the rocks, so I will continue working beyond this. I'm now looking at my second day's work, and I notice I basically have 4 different surfaces that I have to render and make them look right. There's the water where everything will be smooth and subtle, so I have a lot of work to do down in here to make the transitions underneath the water between the dark areas and the light areas more subtle and smooth, like you see when you're looking at the surface of the water. You have to give the impression that it's a surface with things underneath. Then you have the rocks, which have all sorts of textures, and I have these lines in a little bit rough, so I have to change that and show the difference between things close and things further away. The other surfaces are the trees here, the grass, and then the only really man-made thing in here is the fort, so I have to make sure I have the window there the right size, otherwise the scale will be off, and obviously I have to do the sky as well. And in my reference I didn't have all this sky, so I'm going to have to look at some other references to make sure I get this sky looking right. This is the third day's work, and I'm just adding more and more detail, making adjustments, and I will just continue going on and on. Doing a lot of work on the water now, and you can see that my brush is down there by the water, working on the reefs underneath the surface. So I've had a look at the painting, and from here to the end, the amount of detail I'm going to be dealing with and different changes I'm going to make will make it look like grass is growing when it comes to how much difference you're going to see in the painting. I was told by an instructor in art school that you want your work to be tight but not uptight. So I'll be doing a lot of changes that tighten this up, make it work. In the end it will probably look more painterly than you would think it would look because of the amount of work that's going into. There's going to be a lot of things to do with these textures of the rocks that I'm gonna have to like just continually be making compromises, but in the end everything ought to work. So we'll see how it goes. This is the 4th day of work, and I am continuing to put in more detail. From here on, you will probably notice only slight differences in the painting because I'm working on smaller details. Right now I'm working on the rocks and making adjustments to the shadows. Then I'll go and work on the water some more, and I'm just working all over. You may wonder why I am fascinated with this area and why I paint it. This is an area where I used to go on adventures with my Uncle Glenn and my brothers. We used to swim from Fort St. Catherine to Tobacco Bay and back. We used to run across the area that's now the golf course and swim across the entrance to the coupon and climb all over the rocks. One of the rocks in the foreground is almost like a fort. You can climb up into it from one side, and it's shaped like a fort. You'll probably notice it there right in the middle of the painting. I always like adventure movies and adventure books like Swiss Family Robinson and Robinson Crusoe and anything that was outdoors and around the ocean. So this is one of my favorite parts on Earth, and I just like to paint it. My mother grew up on Naval Tanks Hill, and my uncles always had a boat that was in Coupon. So this is an area that I have a lot of family roots in, and so it is an area that I feel a real connection to. And with the hotel being built, I wanted to record what it's looked like all these years. Another interesting thing is I had a couple of uncles who in 1959 moved cannons from Fort Albert and Fort Victoria up on the hill down to Fort St. Catherine. I thought I had finished this painting about 3 times, and I kept seeing something that needed some sort of adjustment. So I've continued working, and that's what you have to do when you have something with this much detail. When you look at the piece and something sort of stands out, you have to sort of soften it so that it doesn't jump out. So I've been going around looking at little areas that jump out, doing a lot of blending of colors so that rocks can be smoother or the water can sort of be smoother. So it took a bit of time doing that. The painting's almost done. I hope you enjoyed it. My final details were just smoothing out the ripples of the water and making everything sort of smooth. There you go, a few days work in a few minutes. Hope you enjoyed it.